All right. So we had a question about baptism. And it's a great question. Actually, when we got done talking about baptism, I thought this is something that I did not mention and forgot to. And the question is dealing with the difference between baptism as an adult and baptism as a baby. Is that right? So that's a great question. And people have written whole books about this. And this, honestly, is one of those things in church history that has really caused friction because people tend to think it can be one or the other. And I'll just be honest that when people are thinking about baptism as we described it a few weeks ago, that it is an expression of my faith and my dying to my old life and being raised with Christ. That type of baptism is for those who have made a decision to follow Christ, and it is an expression of that decision in their life. So those would be the people that are a little bit older. They've been able to actually come to that moment of faith. So then what is baptism as a baby? Because obviously the baby has not chosen that I want to follow Jesus. The baptism as a baby, what is happening there is that the family has said that we believe that we want to dedicate, we want to give this child to God, and we want from early on them to be a part of the family of God. We want God's covering in that sense. And there are differing views on what that is, but to put them side by side would be a little bit of a mistake just because they're actually viewed a little differently. See, for those who we might call it a believer's baptism. As an adult, it is an expression of what I've done. And for a child, it is an expression of what the family desires for the child and what they're desiring that God would do in their life. For many groups who baptize children, babies, it is also a part of accepting them into the community, that they have been baptized. They're a part of the family, the community of believers. And so it's important for some that they would be baptized as a baby, not necessarily saying that they don't need to make a decision in their life of faith later on, that they would accept God's grace for themselves, but that they want to be accepted in. And that's where people have landed in two different places. Because some would say that's not valid, and some would say that if you don't, what about a child who dies, for instance, and never had a chance to be baptized later? And I would just go back to what we talked about baptism, that baptism is an expression of our faith. It is not salvation. So someone who believes and is under the grace of God, whether they've been baptized or not, they're under the grace of God. They're saved, whether they've been baptized or not. And so I think some of the fear, maybe, what if I don't baptize my baby? What if they don't make it? That baptism actually isn't the thing that gets someone into heaven. They're going to have to make it, no matter when that baptism, if it's at a baby or as an adult, they're going to have to continue in their walk of faith, that God has forgiven them and that they're walking in a relationship with Jesus, because it's only a relationship with Jesus Christ that makes us clean and gives us a hope of eternity with him. So I don't know if that helps you. There have been whole books written on that topic, but maybe that helps that the view of baptism might be different, but the key thing is the relationship with Jesus Christ, and that is what helps gives us the hope of eternity with him.